Sometimes the biggest, most profound ideas don't come from some polished essay or an academic paper. They pop up in the most unexpected places. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got this raw, unedited transcript from an English lesson, of all things, that just completely spirals into this massive, powerful philosophy on work, family, and technology.
And this is why this thing is so compelling. Think about it. It's a live, unscripted conversation. People are trying to speak a foreign language, right? So all those usual social filters we have, they just fall away. And what you get left with are these raw, unfiltered anxieties about modern life just bubbling up to the surface. It's like a perfect, accidental snapshot of our culture.
So you have this huge, deep critique of modern society. And where does it all kick off? Well, it all starts with something surprisingly simple. A single, kind of boring word from the corporate world.
Okay, so the word is collaborator. And the teacher, Alfredo, he hears this and has this, it's almost an allergic reaction. For him, this isn't just some new age HR term. No, it's pretentious nonsense. It's a smokescreen designed to hide the real, hard, economic truth of what a job actually is.
See, for Alfredo, it's all about keeping things clear. He just wants to strip away all the fluffy language and get down to the brass tacks. He sees it as a simple, dignified, and honest deal. You do a job, I pay you for it, end of story. And he argues that when you start using this fuzzy, we're all a family language, like collaborator, you're just blurring the lines and, honestly, just asking for chaos.
And right on cue, as if to prove his point, his student, Luana, chimes in. And she's a manager, so she is living this chaos. She tells Alfredo this story about a new hire who, get this, in just a few months has already taken 20 days off. She hasn't even managed to work a single full 5-day week yet. But wait, it gets better. Here's the kicker. This same employee, the one who's barely shown up, walks into Luana's office and asks for a promotion. A promotion! There's just a complete and total disconnect there, right? They're not even on the same planet when it comes to understanding what a job is. And for Alfredo, this is it. This is the maddening but logical end result of a culture that cares more about the feeling of being a collaborator than the actual reality of being a worker.
Okay, so this is the moment where Alfredo just zooms out. He takes this one little story from an office and blows it up into this huge, sweeping critique of our entire society, from the family all the way up to technology.
We hear it constantly, right? Our phones are the problem. Technology is ruining everything. Well, Alfredo, he completely rejects that. It's this idea called technological determinism, that tech is in the driver's seat. He says, no, you've got it backwards. He thinks society was already broken, and tech just rushed in to fill the vacuum we'd already made. So this timeline here really helps lay out his whole argument. He's saying that our society has been sick for over 30 years, way before the iPhone was even a thing. And what was the first big symptom? The family dinner. It just disappeared. He believes that once families stopped sitting down together, talking, connecting in a real physical space, the home just became this empty, silent place. Society itself became, and this is his term, immunocompromised.
And that brings us to his main analogy, which is so powerful. He says technology isn't some super virus that came and infected a healthy world. Nope. He calls it an opportunistic infection. You know, the kind that can only get you when your immune system is already down. In his view, tech only got its hooks into us because our societal immune system, things like family, the dinner table, actual human connection, was already shot. So our screen addiction, that's not the disease. It's just a symptom of our empty lives.
Now for Alfredo, this isn't just some abstract theory he's tossing around. He makes it real, and he illustrates it with this, it's a genuinely shocking story he tells, and it really drives home his incredibly harsh philosophy about what it means to be a parent today.
So he talks about this situation at his son's school. A mom finds out, through a police sting no less, that a predator has been talking to her 11-year-old son online. She sends this tearful message to the other parents, and in it she calls the technology, the computer, the enemy inside my house. You can feel her shock, right? She feels like a victim of this thing that invaded her home.
But Alfredo's reaction, this is where things get really controversial. He tells his student Luana that while he was reading this, his silent internal thought, his gut reaction to this grieving mom, was just pure fury. In his head, he's thinking, no, you are the actual enemy. He puts the blame 100% squarely on her for giving her kid unsupervised access to something she knew was dangerous.
And this really crystallizes his whole philosophy of the parent as an uncompromising gatekeeper. He believes a parent's #1 job is to build an impenetrable wall between their child's mind and the dangers of the internet. And all that social pressure, but all the other kids have a phone, to him, that's not a reason. It's just an excuse for failing to do your job.
And look, Alfredo isn't just talking the talk. He actually lives this stuff. He applies this exact same tough-as-nails worldview to his own parenting, and the story he tells about his son's handwriting, it becomes this perfect little metaphor for his whole philosophy.
So, let's break down this little 3-act play. Act 1, his son's handwriting is terrible, a complete mess. So Alfredo makes him practice, just relentlessly. Act 2, the son, of course, complains. "Daddy, I'm tired, my hand hurts." Alfredo's response? Ice cold. "I don't care if you're tired, show me results." But then, Act 3, the payoff. A teacher praises his son's new, beautiful handwriting. The kid comes home absolutely glowing and says to his dad, "It feels good." And that right there, that's the absolute core of his idea. He calls it forced resilience. The whole point is that real, deep satisfaction, you don't find it in being comfortable. It can only be forged, like steel, by pushing through things that are hard and uncomfortable.
And here's how he ties it all together. He literally says that this painful battle with a pen and paper is rewiring his child's neurology. By forcing his son to learn that the amazing feeling of "it feels good" only comes after the miserable part, he believes he's immunizing him against that culture of entitlement that wants a reward just for showing up.
But okay, just when you think you've got this guy pegged, right? He's this cold, heartless drill sergeant, the transcript throws a total curveball. It reveals this deep, fascinating paradox about him. You see this huge contrast between his harsh philosophy at home and how he actually teaches, which is incredibly empathetic.
I mean, look at this table. It breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have Alfredo the father. He's the uncompromising authoritarian. He literally makes his son play chess against himself just to learn how to deal with being bored. But then you have Alfredo the teacher, and he's vulnerable, he's empathetic. He actually uses his son in the classroom, not to discipline him, but as a tool to help other people connect through play.
And this one story just says everything. He has this student, a 40-year-old neuroscientist, brilliant woman, but super anxious about her English. So what does Alfredo do? He puts her in a class with his own 11-year-old son. He just knew, intuitively, that having a kid in the room, someone for whom language is just a fun game, would completely shatter the adult's anxiety. It would just lower the stakes. I mean, it's an absolute masterstroke of emotional intelligence.
So what are we supposed to do with all this? I think we kind of have to turn Alfredo's biggest, most challenging question back on ourselves. Let's say he's right. What if our screens really are just a distraction, a bandage over a much deeper wound in our society? What happens when we rip that bandage off? If every single one of us put our phones down tomorrow, would we be ready for what comes next? For that deafening silence, that agonizing boredom that might have been waiting for us this whole time? That, I think, is the real hard work his philosophy demands we think about.